Welcome! The purpose of this video is to trace the Sperry line through geological locations that we're pretty sure of. The farthest back that we have been able to discover is Henry Sperry, S-P-A-R-R-Y, who was born in 1510 in Clint, Staffordshire, England. And going to Google Maps, there is Clint. And it shows you some pictures and some information when you mess around in Google Maps. And of course you can Google it and find web pages that people have put up. As you can see, we're a little redundant. Previously, each person had their own records, and you would have to look at one website to compare it to another. Now we're trying to merge everything together. And so these individuals are about in the same place. Oh no, they've moved to Bedfordshire, which was on the map. But there is two. Richard Sperry's was the previous person that we knew that came to America, to the colony of Connecticut. And there is another one, 16. That's the one that we follow. 2HB. 2HB, that's not the one we follow. It's so much easier when the camera isn't running. I had it like highlighted. But it doesn't matter much. They're just duplicates that'll eventually be worked out. Sometimes we can't merge them yet because there are so many records of them. But here we are in England, and that Clint we had, I think I've lost it, so let's go back where we were. So there's where they ended up in a couple of generations. And so there we are in the middle of England, a little to the, well, pretty smack dab in England. Then the next place we know, and I'm sure in the records we know somewhere why the move. I don't remember it. I haven't researched it lately. Move over to New Haven Colony, Connecticut. And then we go to see that these are the Samuel Sperrys that we're not so sure about some of the information we have. So there's Samuel, born and died in New Haven. And then his son Samuel, born in New Haven, in Waterbury, but died in Lawrence, Hanging Rock in Lawrence, Ohio. Lawrence is the county. So that's the city, the county, the state, the country. So there we have, let's see if we can, Hanging Rock. It's all the way down in Ohio. That's quite a distance to have traveled in his life. And then Lawrence, let's see, so here we have another display, the Thomas, New Haven and New Haven. The Samuel Sperry, New Haven and New Haven. Married Mary Hall. Samuel Sperry, New Haven too. And you notice that the Revolution is in there. And it was not a very fun thing to be on the coast. And land was opening up. Land rushes and government incentives to move. And so we also see that we had these maps. So there's one in between here. I don't know how to work this map very well to get things the way I had it before. But there was one that would show you where I've written to this individual and said I don't really know if there is no Knoxville, Pendleton County, Kentucky, as far as Google Maps says. And the closest thing Google Maps gets is this Knoxville Baptist Church there. Now, Knoxville, Tennessee is down here. There could have been a dip down there. It's interesting to study it out. And then previous Cass County, Indiana, and then to Joplin from Indiana. So we can add Lincoln, Indiana. Cass County, Indiana. There's the Lincoln. So let's add this Lawrence County, Lawrence City, Ohio, and see what that looks like. So then, and it's possible they could have gone out and back. But and it's the times overlap also. So between 1814 and 1896, between 44 and 12, they're just traveling together as a family. And then, of course, from Indiana down to Joplin. And, of course, these aren't as accurate as where they lived. Let's see if it'll let me do another. I'll just replace this one. Now, another way that we could decide on where people lived, we could go beyond just the individual's name. The husband, the wife. Here's all the children listed, but we don't have room for that in each of the chart. The husband, the wife, the husband, the wife, the husband, the wife, the husband, the wife. And going back, we can see it also this way. The husband and wife, and then the children down below. And any of these confusing sources that we've found, I think there must be another, because I don't really think this is, but it was in a book and there's a record, so we note it and we keep researching. But we can look at each individual and we can say, oh, at this time the family was in Montreal in 1902. At this time, 1904, still there. 1906, still Montreal. And then North Dakota. And then North Dakota, a different place. And then Deadwood, South Dakota. And that child didn't live long, just older than Dad. And South Dakota. And then up in Kansas City. And South Dakota. And then to Joplin in 1915. So in 1915, South Dakota census, we couldn't find anything because they'd already moved on down to Joplin. Notice also that different years, the spelling is different. So I was very grateful the computer said, hey, Most of these people look very similar, James and Lily, Florence, Nettie, David, Melvin, but it's got an H, and you know they write that P very funny, and they put that big tall part. And here we have in 1900 an interesting way, SPI, and if you look at the record, which we probably could see the actual film, you could probably say, okay, if you knew what it really was, you would choose a different spelling. But it's the census records help us quite a bit. And having all the family members. Noticed here they've called her, instead of Lily, he put a big W, a big L that looked like a W. And here in 1800 census is where he's a child, and that's where someone grabbed hold to add that other family, which I don't really think is ours, but it may be. And they're similar siblings, so. And it would be awesome to be able to find all of the welcome back. So as we know, we can utilize the map function. So the farthest back person, John Sperry, actually it's Richard, but that's the son. So how is that? John Sperry came also, and Richard Sperry? Interesting. Oh, so he's the first one that did not England. Okay, so Richard's the first one that did. So here we are in England, and here's a little bit of a picture of where they were. Then we can see that the previous person was from Harry Sperry, was from Clint, and so here it will show us between the two. And so we should be able to see where in England the two were. So it's the center of the country. And if we look at where they came in the United States, they came first to New Haven. And it's really just a straight line on down to Joplin. And there's confusion on a couple of people. I've been contacting others with some information because this Knoxville is supposed to be a city. Even if it was in Knoxville, Tennessee, that's not too far down here. It's not responding today either way. We can learn a little bit about the life of Richard Sperry. There's a lot of different places that have information. And one of the stories that's interesting is written in that great Sperry family. It's also written here on someone's website. So he was born in England, and he died in New Haven, Connecticut. He came on the ship Hector to Boston in 1637, but he didn't stay in Boston. He went over to New Haven. So it'd be interesting to research Stephen Goodyear, because it appears that our relative Richard Sperry worked for him. And while they, and then he later married Stephen Goodyear's daughter, Dennis, Dennes, which some people have written incorrectly. So the time is going to be running out again, so I'm going to scroll down so you can pause and read some of this yourself. I tried doing some research on this Benjamin Franklin link. I didn't get very far. I got confused on Josiah. And then to make it back up again, there is something called Yeah, I can't think of what it's called right now. Pozilla, that'll give you that information.